This is a head cannon
production.
circus production.
Nah. On my music show, we drop MFs and N-words and dams and all that stuff. Most of the stuff I put on there, I make sure it's noted that it's not kid friendly. So
Okay.
people, yeah.
So
I
have a tendency to, without thinking, drop words into.
You'll be fine, man. We grown adults and we making stuff for grown adults to listen to. So
good.
While we say that, welcome everybody to the first episode, number 1, starting out the gates of the N-Word for Nerd podcast. Yes, I wanted to call it that because I was going to do something like with the whole blurbosphere, the black nerd thing, but I figured once in a while I'm going to have somebody from the Caucasus Mountains come and join us. So I figured I couldn't do just that specific. So I opened it up to all the nerds that want to go join us. So as always, I'm your host here, Jason Corny J, and I'm sitting here with probably I'm gonna non-use the king of all nerds because on Facebook your takes are so good. Like it's almost like sometimes you read my mind and you put it out before my fingers can get to typing. So I'm gonna make you have to live in it that you're gonna be the king of all nerds now.
No, nothing like that. I just been a nerd for a long time. I wouldn't say maybe like a Duke of Nerds or like a Viceroy.
We'll do that. The Duke of Nerds. I'm here with Jason in the building. My man. Jason, tell people about yourself because I know this is the first show we've ever done together. So
there's not really much to me. I'm been watching stuff since before it was cool. I'm the old school nerd. I've been reading comic books since I was a kid, watching Star Trek since I was a kid, getting beat up for it. Now it's cool so I can actually talk about it. So that's just me. I just always been into this stuff. So
look, I will tell you, my blind spot in nerdom is Star Trek. I got a homeboy. Shout out to my friend Darren. When it starts back up heavy, because I know Picard's gonna have a season 2. I know what is it? The new one on the new Star Trek on CBS. Like I'm gonna bring my friend Jaren on, and I'm gonna let you guys just have a ball and just let.
Yeah, I got all sorts of stuff about Star Trek, man. It's I've been watching that since I was 5 years old. So it's definitely a part of my life. So
actually, me not even being the Star Trek guy, but I know I'm gonna let you start off by pissing some people off. Give us your captain list of Star Trek captain. Here we go.
Easy, man. My captain is first and foremost number 1. It's Captain Picard. He's my captain. He's the captain I grew up with. I will follow that guy into, the battle against Borg anytime, any day. He's the greatest. Number 2, had to be Captain Sisko. He's like, he is the quintessential badass black dude. I mean, it's freaking Avery Brooks. I mean, you can't not have him as number 2. He is a badass. Number 3 would be Captain Janeway. I mean, first female captain on TV. She had, nothing that any other captain has had. She had to be on her own, making her way through Delta Quadrant. So she's number 3.
And this is where you're going to start getting people off because everybody's searching for the key name, and then you're going to
I'm not going to even get.
Now you're at 3, and you ain't said the name. And people are already like, man, this podcast ain't got no credibility. I'm done.
I mean, there are going to be a lot of people that don't really look like us that are already mad because I haven't said number 1 or haven't said their number 1 captain yet, and I ain't going to say their number 1 captain yet because he's the bottom of my list.
Who's your number 4?
We're at number 3. Number 4 is Captain Pike. Anson Mount on Discovery just kills it as Captain Pike. He just is a likable kind of captain that you want to just be like, like one of those captains you want to have a beer with, just sit and hang out with.
Right.
Where are we at? Number 5?
Yep, 5.
Number 5 is Captain Suru. He's also in Discovery. He is an alien, but he is the most empathetic, kind, and caring captain that's ever existed. He's the one that actually trusts his team to do the thing that it needs to be done. He trusts in their abilities, and that's really, really good to see. I'm pretty sure that's at the end of the list. I don't think there's anything else. There's a couple of captains on Discovery, Lorca and Giorgio, who don't make the list at all because spoilers alert, Lorca is a doppelganger from the mirror universe, so he's just a bad guy all in all. And Georgiou dies in the first 2 episodes, so it's like you can't really get to know her really well. Michael Burnham is the new captain, but she hasn't been captain yet, so I can't put her on the list because we haven't seen her as captain.
Right.
And she cries a lot, and that's fine. I'm fine with people crying. It's okay. But she has cried like almost every episode.
So I guess rounded at the bottom then is my man Kurt.
And Kurt is the very bottom. Kurt's a capable captain, don't get me wrong. I liked him in, Wrath of Khan. He's gone. Yes. But as a captain, especially, if you're gonna factor in the Chris Pine version as well, Captain Kirk is just kind of like the everyday white guy that can do almost anything. So he's not very interesting to me. He's just like,
hold on. So are you trying to say in this utopian atmosphere of Star Trek, a little bit of white privilege still kicks in a bit?
Dude, if you watch the new movies on Star Trek, it doesn't make sense why he's the captain of the Enterprise. They basically took a dude who didn't even graduate college.
Right.
And be like, oh yeah, here's our starship. You can fly that. That's fine. It's yours. Go ahead.
Right, your father did it, so you must be great at it.
It's essentially white privilege. Your dad was good at it, so you got to be good at it too.
Nepotism. All right, so we already got people riled up and everybody warmed up now. I think we're gonna do that every time we start the show. We're gonna find a list and just go run down.
Make people mad.
Right. So with that being said, I guess if we want to keep it in the realm, I guess, of space, fantasy, sci-fi, and I know this is 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we had Kong versus Godzilla come out, theaters, HBO Max. It's gonna be hard to get people to go back to the theaters. They keep letting this HBO Max thing keep running, man. Like, I'm a cinephile, and I have not made it back to the theater to watch it yet because I could see it on HBO Max.
Yeah. I already got HBO Max. I get it for free with my cable. So, like, if I got a movie that's going to play, I got a big screen. I can drink a beer. I can, smoke whatever I want to smoke.
Hey.
I don't got to leave the house. If I get drunk, I just get up and go to my bed. It's fine. And especially if the movie turns out to be bad, I haven't really wasted anything. So,
with that being said, what were your thoughts on Kong versus Godzilla?
Kong versus Godzilla. Okay, well, it's a movie about a monkey fighting a lizard.
Yes.
So, I wasn't expecting it to be all that great. And I was still kind of disappointed.
Wow.
Like,
all right.
By the final fight of Kong versus Godzilla, I was already tuned out. I was looking at my phone. I was not engaged whatsoever. I was like tweeting, and because there's a lot of stuff that's just going on. And it's like none of it has to do with the monkey fighting the gorilla or the monkey fighting the lizard. And it's like, okay, they just did this shit just for the fun of it. I guess I don't know what. None of it means anything. So I was disappointed.
I will say, I will give it credit for this. Outside of Skull Island, which I think is the best out of all of them.
Yeah.
Outside of that, this was probably the second most that was actually focused on the creatures more than like the random human thing. Because the first Godzilla was that was just. You might as well just call it.
You didn't even see Godzilla in the first time.
Yeah. And then the second one, King of the Monsters, same thing. Is like, I want to see these monsters fight, and you keep showing me 11 from Stranger Things. Like, I don't care what she's doing. Like, show me the monsters fighting. So I would say in this one, I got to see the monsters fight without the whole cutting back and forth and showing this. They're running to get. I don't care about that stuff on the ground. Like, miss me on that. So. I enjoyed it more because I did get to see the fight. I hate to say, we're going to keep, on this show, I'm letting everybody know we're going to keep it 100 on here. I look at King Kong as the brother. So when he was taking the L to Godzilla, I was like, come on, man. Like, we didn't went through the 60s, the 70s of King Kong taking his L. I thought finally, because they made him bigger, they made him smarter because he making weapons and shit. I'm like,
he didn't even make the weapon. He just found the weapon.
Right, that's true. Well, like he would pull the tree apart and then he used the fin rope.
See the thing. Yeah.
So he had a concept of like, I can use my environment to help me be a better fighter. Man, they were jobbing King Kong out to the little like flying bat thing. Like, humans had to help him. I was like, how you supposed to be one of the king of the monsters and you jobbing out?
One of the things that really bugged me about the movie is I can't remember the characters. I don't remember any of the characters' names because none of them were important.
Right.
But the one lady who was King Kong's little caretaker or whatever, she kept saying,
Right.
no one conquers Kong. No one does Kong. Kong has been chained up on a boat, for the last 18 hours, and he's been in a big giant prison. So, like, why are you saying that Kong, like, no one's gonna your best Kong? You already beat Kong. Like, Godzilla be coming here murking everybody. Ain't nobody caged Godzilla. You got King Kong in a cage for his own protection because you think he's gonna get his ass beat by Godzilla. And then you put him on a boat and you think he's gonna, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be fine. He's gonna totally handle Godzilla. Dude's in chains by people that are like a fraction of his size.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Even in Skull Island, he was getting jobbed out of them. Humans didn't help him fight those other creatures. He taking it from them too. Like,
but he was a baby then, or something stupid.
Yeah,
like
he was the equivalent of like a preteen or some craziness like that. It's almost. And when I use the word job, guys, I'm a huge wrestling guy, so I'm gonna use terms like baby face, good guy, heel, bad guy, and job. Like, it was almost to the point where I'm like, they didn't put no respect on Kong's name. And then go have him get his chest scratched, and he gonna be like, "Oh, I guess I'm dead now." Like,
I'm just gonna lay down here. Y'all, I'm taking a nap.
Right.
y'all carry on without me. I got it. I just gotta rest my eyes real quick.
Right. I mean,
even though I'm the only one with a weapon, that was found in the center of the earth from an ancient monkey kingdom. I don't even know. Doesn't seem like he was capable of building, architecture and having culture, but I guess.
Yeah, they weren't smart enough to survive, but they were smart enough to make all of that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, again, and it's funny because I'm sitting here shitting on the movie, and I actually enjoyed the movie, and I'm shitting on it badly, but I enjoyed it because I did get to see the fights. I felt like anytime we get big, like anything huge, kaiju type of things, I have been trained to hate it initially because of Michael Bay, because he trashed Transformers, and we never got to see what the hell was going on. Every time
the all shaky.
Right. So I'm always naturally just in the mindset that if I can get a clear fight of the kaiju fighting a la Pacific Rim, especially the first one, I'm here for it. Like, I'll take the L and be like, yeah, I'm gonna call it, I'm gonna give it the W no matter what, just because I got to see the fight. And I do respect that on this one they gave a definitive winner and loser, even if I don't agree with the decision.
It's a bad decision.
Definitive winner or loser. And I mean, and then the whole twist of the Mecha Godzilla thing at the end and them teaming up in the fight, I thought was pretty dope. But also I look at it as like, now you've kind of ended your franchise, because where do you go from here? Godzilla's beat all the monsters. Kong is nailed to him. You did Mecha Godzilla. Like, you're pretty much done now, unless you bring him. I can't the tri-headed dragon. You maybe bring him back for souped up or something. I believe his name is. Yeah. But other than that, your franchise is dead. Like, who else is going to fight now? Like, it's over.
I mean, I guess he can fight Frankenstein like he did in Japan or something. Like, I don't know. Like, I did enjoy the first fight scene with Kong and Godzilla on the boat, even though it made absolutely no physical sense, because these two giant things on a aircraft carrier would probably sink it, and then thousands of people died in that.
Well, the first fight scene works because Kong is at such a disadvantage here.
Yeah.
So anytime Kong got in the water, it had drama, it had intensity, because you're like, oh, how the hell is he gonna get out of this? Because he ain't made for this. It should have sucked the carrier, and that's what a buddy of mine was like. I mean, they pretty much just destroyed everybody in Hong Kong. I'm like, have you not watched the Godzilla movie ever? Like,
that's what he does.
Yeah, he wipes it out.
Brings it back to the point, like, the bad guy isn't really like a bad guy. Like, his plan was to build a robot to fight Godzilla, because whenever time Godzilla shows up, he kills like 1 million people. Like, how is that a bad idea? How is that like why is that wrong? Like,
right. In the Pacific Rim universe, they would have made a fleet of those Godzillas to fight them in Pacific Rim universe.
Yeah, they were
right. Like, it wasn't. Yeah, you 100%. I never even thought about that. He actually went to bad guys.
Like, they should be thanking him. Like, yeah, we need like 4 more of these. Like, there's monsters everywhere. Like, we're going to die.
Oh, you know what this is? Maybe this is the prequel to Pacific Rim. Maybe we didn't know this.
But they killed the dude that would come up with the robots.
It makes perfect sense, man. Now you've killed my whole. Yeah, you're right. Like, but I guess too. Also in defense, I know the Godzilla fandom is probably going to beat us down and going to say Godzilla's not really a good guy or a bad guy. He's a force of nature. And they're going to go back to the whole nuclear scare and all that stuff with Asian history. And guys, we get it. But at this point in time, we live in a society now where you need the good guy and the bad guy, and they face off for a battle that's supposed to mean something about, hey, like, this guy has bad morals, so this is why he should go down. Jason, you're 100% correct. These guys are making a beast to stop the real beast.
Yeah, but also if Godzilla forced nature, that's fine and well and dandy. But we build like strong houses to stop hurricanes. We build levees and shit. We build buildings not to fall over in earthquakes or storm shelters to get in for tornadoes. So like we got to try to fight nature because we're weak and small and we're really squishy, especially if giant lizards are walking through our town. Just walk through the bridge of Hong Kong, killed like 40 million kids. On the bridge, didn't even care.
True.
There's probably a school bus full of children, going to day class or whatever, and going, here's Godzilla. I could have emerged, 50 more feet away, but nope, right to the bridge full of people. It's fine. He's the good guy.
Look, the worst part about it is because I'm so ingrained in my job doing homeowners insurance. I'm like, in that universe, I wonder if they have that Godzilla exclusion. Like, like nuclear riots, Godzilla, earthquakes.
I'm sorry, but you're in the Godzilla zone. We don't insure that. You live on the coast. I'm sorry.
Hong Kong and all the sea, all the marine insurance is like, look, we know those waters you in, brother. We know that kind of insurance.
People be coming up trying to prove it was a tidal wave and not Godzilla. See, it's water damage. It's water damage.
It was a proximate cause. It wasn't us. Oh man. Well, let's jump off of Godzilla and Kong because I feel like now you have made me want to hate that movie now. So we're gonna
I'm sorry.
I mean, it's real life. It's facts. We're gonna go to probably the biggest thing running right now, which is Falcon versus Winter Soldier. If you don't know, because we spoiled a lot of stuff in Kong versus Godzilla, we are going to talk spoilers here. So let's first start off with episode 6, and then we'll talk about the series as a whole. Jason, what was your thoughts on episode 6 itself?
Well, I imagine it ended the way that I imagined it was going to end. There was no surprises for me whatsoever. But don't get me wrong. At the end, when he's giving the speech to all those DRC members about like trying to do better, I was teary-eyed. I was trying not to. I was trying to hold it back because like that hit me right in the heart, man. That made me feel like I wanted to stand up and just applaud because it's kind of the message that we need for right now, and it's kind of awesome that Marvel/Disney has done a show like this because of the way that it will reach a wider audience than if it was just like even like just like Black Panther or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This being a show that a lot of people can immediately get into, and then also have like these issues that people like us face every day in this
right.
country. So this last episode, even though it wasn't like anything like really surprising or anything mind blowing, lore wise, the Marvel universe, oh man, I was just like chef's kiss. It was great.
See, man, I will tell you. At first, when he was talking that talk, I'm right there with you. I'm like, I had my fist in the air. I'm like clapping it up. My wife over here sleeping, like, damn, bro, can you take this downstairs? I'm like, nah, we in the movement. And then I felt like it got too preachy to me. Like he kept going, and I was like, hold on, Black Falcon. Like,
hold on, Black Falcon.
You just got that shield, brother. You might want to fall back talking to these white folks like this. But
who do you think you are?
Right. But no, I'm with you though. Like I thought it was a good move, and I'm pretty sure, just like you, I'm pretty sure everybody who watched it all probably popped when he crashes through the window and you see the fly-ass new suit.
Oh man,
looks straight like it was ripped out of the comic book. Like I'm pretty sure everybody popped and was like, "Oh hell yeah, this is about to go down." The bigger issue I got with Sam is he can't keep getting his ass whooped if he gonna be the new one. I be getting his ass whooped by everybody. Like
he don't got superpowers. He's just a dude with wings and a shield. He's going to get his butt kicked. Right?
I agree, but Black Widow, Hawkeye, they held their own. Like they, Hawkeye got it in First Avengers, but other than that, Hawkeye did this thing. Man, Falcon be getting mashed.
But Hawkeye, Black Widow, they don't fight super soldiers. They fight all the other people. The only thing Hawkeye ever fought was the T'Challa is always just shooting arrows. He didn't actually fight any of them. He didn't actually have to put his fist on nobody. You know, he just said that shooting arrows. I'm out in Ultron shooting arrows. You know, he didn't fight nobody. You know.
Also,
So
you notice how the show got on Disney Plus and Sam put away the gats. Think about when you first saw Sam, he used to have the Uzis. He put away the gats real quick on Disney Plus. It's like, look here, bro.
You know, with Black Man with a gun, he would have got shot in the first episode. They be looking for a new Captain America and a new Falcon because he would have been dead.
Episode 6 was great. What I'm saying, I thought it was really good. It was a great way to wrap it up. I do like in these Disney Marvel shows, they leave a couple of loose strings open for future stuff to go on. Just no different than a comic book. I'm with you on that. I felt Sam, I felt the speech, I felt just the outfit too, and even to dive into the minutia of it, like I always credit Black Panther for having a lot of pro-African diaspora in there that a lot of the normal people who don't know that history don't pick up on. This show had a lot of, I want to say, Black American diaspora experience in there. I mean, even if you go to the point that shield is made from the minerals and goods from Africa, but it's probably a symbol of America. Like,
which is the American story anyway.
Exactly. It's like a little subtle things in there like that. Even when, the Dora Milaje came through crushing it early on, it was a very feel of that was like, these jokers is organized, they're prepared, like they saw all of it, and while all the rest of them were disorganized, but even when Homegirl flips the shield up, it was like, oh shit, like this nigga's about that life. And then even going further, when they disabled Bucky, it was also like don't get it twisted. We can take away all this at any moment from y'all. Like, don't get the game messed up. Like, we let y'all live. We can take this if we want.
We may have fought Killmonger, but he was right.
Don't get the game. It definitely played into a lot of subtle moments like that. I do think with the series, I got all the people, once you go woke, you go broke, and blah, blah, blah. Fuck all that. Disney and Marvel got a lot of money. And y'all gonna go see the next Avengers movie. Y'all gonna see Shang-Chi or whatever. And I don't know nothing about the dude because I didn't read about him. But it's gonna make money. So I don't want to hear nothing about you go woke, you go broke. And then if you were so disturbed by a show talking about a Black experience on a Disney show, you may be more the problem than Disney. Like,
here's also the thing, like in comic books in general, this has been a part of it for pretty much since its inception.
Yep.
A lot of these comic books were written, mostly by white dudes, but white dudes who were fairly liberal for their times, who were trying to bring in new stories about different people, about the troubles that we were having in our country at the time. So like this has always been a part of the medium. And if people haven't realized that by now, it's kind of like you're willfully ignorant to what has been going on for, let's say, 80 years at this point, because Captain America himself was a political tool, that was created to, get America to World War II, to fight the Nazis. He came out punching Hitler, 2 years before we started the war, while people were like, no, we shouldn't do that. And you got Captain America punching Hitler, and these stories have always been a part of it. The X-Men, they were started as the Stan Lee and I don't want to say Jack Kirby, but I'm probably sure that's not correct. But like trying to make sense of the civil rights movement to themselves and to their readership. So all these stories about, the troubles that have gone through this country, the struggles that Black Americans and other minorities face in the country have already been built into this medium and has been there for a long time. So this is not like anything new. It's not like woke culture. It's literally taking a storyline that's already been in the comic books and making a TV show about it.
Right. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because as you said that, it made me go to, and I don't know if you saw that viral quote going around from Stan Lee about comics and politics. So I pulled it up here real quick. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna try to share the screen real quick so people can see it. I'm gonna still read it out loud, but let's see for everybody, for the video audience, they give them something they can look out, so they won't think I'm just making this up because people tell me all the time, like, I mean, where did you get that from? Oh, well, you just made that up. So
You gotta have your receipts, man.
right, yeah. So Stan Lee, his quote here. We blow it up big here, so people can get a good look at it here. So this is from Stan Lee. He goes, from time to time, we receive letters from readers who wonder why there's so much moralizing in our mags. They take great pains to point out that comics are supposed to be escapist reading and nothing more. But somehow I can't see it that way. It seems to me that a story without a message, however subliminal, is like a man without a soul. In fact, even the most escapist literature of all, old-time fairy tales and heroic legends, contain moral and philosophical points of view. At every college campus where I may speak, there's as much discussion of war and peace, civil rights, and the so-called youth rebellion as there is of our Marvel mags per se. None of us live in a vacuum. None of us is untouched by everyday events around us, events which shape our stories just as they shape our lives. Excuse me. Sure, our tales can be called escapist, but just because something's for fun does not mean we have to blanket our brains as we read it. Excelsior, Stan Lee. So when I hear people go on this, you woke, you go broke, and all other, like, the guy that created this literally wrote out of his mouth that you can't have one without the other. You can't have these great stories without having some kind of moralizing or philosophical questions or thought process. The same guys that are yelling this love fucking the Watchmen comic book, which is probably the most political comic book of all time.
Yeah. Well,
a
lot of people who read The Watchmen have not got the message because it's a very liberal book making fun of conservatism, like, highly, but people just don't see it. And it's like, it's right there in the text. I mean, like, you can ask Alan Moore right now. He was like, yeah, I was making fun of, all these Reaganomics and all this other good stuff, all conservatives in America. It's all about that. But,
and I mean, Rorschach, which is everybody's like favorite character, is damn near fascist and Marxist. Like, it's known, like he says it.
It's like there are literally no good guys in that book. That's what it was about, that everybody was a bad guy in some way or form. Right. And Rorschach was the opposite of the mirror image of Ozymandias. He was, Ozymandias had his idea of how he's supposed to save the world, and Rorschach, who never compromised his idea of how he wanted to save the world. And they were polar opposites, but they were the same people. They were willing to do horrible things for their own moral justifications.
Absolutely.
And Rorschach did some very horrible things. He was a racist, he was a bigot, he was sexist.
Yep.
And he beat up people without question, breaking, even after they've been, not, in crime or doing things, just because he felt he was in the right. And that's the same way with Ozymandias. He decided to kill I think it was like 1 million people in the comic books or whatever.
Yeah.
But because he thought he was right. And that was the point. Like, nobody, if you're doing these like absolutist sort of thought processes, you're not right. You're wrong.
I mean, the only people that can get away with an absolutist thought process are the Jedi, but we'll save that conversation for a whole other table, how the Jedi are wrong and they're a terrible organization.
Right. They are right. I will die on that hill.
Right. We will save that for another day of discussion. So let's talk about the series as a whole. I know we kind of jumped back and forth in it, but as a whole, I guess first question is, what did you think about it? Second question is, you had to choose between this and WandaVision. Which one are you choosing?
Easily, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, it's the most, like, it has the most action, in which is what I like. It has action, it has people beating up on people. That's fun, and it also has like a message to it, which is also great. So, like, even though like WandaVision, you can kind of like have the whole like, oh, what's gonna happen next? Who's gonna be in this? And ultimately, it didn't really like. I mean, we could say that, fan expectation kind of blew it out of proportion, but ultimately it was just a simple story about Wanda dealing with her feelings over, what happened with the Vision and all that good stuff, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. That's great. That's a fantastic story to tell. But to me, Falcon and Winter Soldier had pretty much everything that I wanted in a Marvel show. So,
right.
It's hands down Falcon and Winter Soldier to me.
Yeah, no, the series as a whole, I did love Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like we talked about, I think showing the Black experience in America through the eyes of what we call, quote unquote, the good Negro. Like, every time he got approached, he was the black man until they realized, oh no, you're that black guy. Oh, sorry. Like, sorry, black
you're
like, we didn't know
you're not like the other ones. You're one of the good ones,
She's some other niggas. Oh, sorry, my bad. I mean, what the best scene ever is they approach him and Bucky about to start smoke with Falcon, and they go, oh, sorry, let's arrest the white guy because you violated probation. I was like, man,
you actually got some
Marvel society that happened. But I thought it was dope. I thought that was great. I think the Isaiah Bradley addition to it is cold. I thought it was dope because I only learned about Isaiah Bradley on accident. One of my homeboys, Rico, who will probably be on the show one day, he had brought me that comic book, not because he knew what it was about, but he bought it because he knew I love Captain America. Captain America, Cyclops are some of my favorite. Like they were my 1 and 2 for me in the Marvel universe. And he's like, oh, I thought it had something to do with Captain America, so I brought it. And unbeknownst, he found it on like a rack, like a giveaway comic rack. Because remember, this series got discontinued in 2013, so I guess somebody just happened to have a random copy of it. He paid like $3 for it, and he gave it to me. And I was like, damn, but like you could have came up on a whim on that because that book is worth a lot more money now, like because of this. But so I never even opened and read the book. But I remember this is before the series had started. I had Googled it. I'm like, well, let me find out what this book is about to see if I want to read it. And when I read the story on it, on Wikipedia and all that, I was like, oh shit, like this story deals with some real close to the chest, Tuskegee, like experimentation on black people.
Real things.
Yeah, real
things that actually
happened. Right. And then I realized like, oh, they discontinued this, so I'm not going to open it now because it's a collector's now. But it was like, it made me go in and get the digital version of it and read on it. And like one of the interesting things that, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I read, one of the interesting things was his original idea was to have the black experimentation precede Steve Rogers, like be before him. But I think something happened. He got a lot of backlash and they made it change it so that it actually happened after Steve. But I think the original thing was he was going to make it to be like, hey, as cool as we think Americans were for making a serum for Steve, a lot of these guys died to get that one serum. And then I think people were going to be so offended that he was retroactively making kind of the U.S. look like the bad guys in World War II, almost similar to the Nazis, with experimentation. Again, we know it's reality, but you know how the fandom, especially back then, we weren't in the woke movement, so he couldn't get that off. And so he recounted to be after Steve. But I thought that would have been a more interesting story if he could have. I don't want to say stuck by his guns. He had to keep a job at the time. Robert Morales is the author, but he kind of conceded and made it after Steve. But bringing Isaiah Bradley into it was just, I thought it was huge. I was really hoping it would have been a scene at the end where they gave him an all-exclusive trip to Wakanda. So, that black excellence and just, like, because it's
like we know a place for you to live. You can leave anytime you want. It's way nicer than Baltimore because anything is nicer than Baltimore.
Fact. Oh, I'm from DC. Trust me, I know. So, even in the books, when Storm and Black Panther get married, and it's like all the black superheroes are in Wakanda for the wedding. I forgot who was pushing the wheelchair, but Isaiah Bradley's in the wheelchair as they wheeled him up as the guest of honor from T'Challa. So so again, I was hoping that they would have moved him to the Wakanda, let him live like as a king out there, and like.
I don't understand if in this Marvel universe, if people know that Wakanda now exists, like why are we still living here?
Or the fact that how you let that white man in there with one arm and you ain't let the brothers in there.
Like if tomorrow on the news they say, hey, actually Wakanda is a real place. There's an advanced African civilization full of great black people living their lives happily and freely. I'm getting my passport. I'm just going to go ahead, get that sucker stamp, get my visa. I'd be like, I'll see y'all later.
1,000%. I'll be right there with you too. That's what I need.
It's like, is there like there's like a boat or like, do I just fly over there? Like, what do I need to do?
Yeah, hell, shit. I'm trying to smoke my in there. I don't give a damn. Like,
I need some box of fruit or something.
But yeah, so and then as far as my question about what did I like better, I mean, I'm a sucker for a redhead, but I'm with you. the Captain America and Winter Soldier series, I think it was better because I did feel like it played, I had to say, it did play to our demographic. That's one. But then also, two, the story they were telling, I feel like it was an evolution or a reflection of America and showing that, like, one, they gave it the Captain America thing as a mantle thing. So I think that's a very good thing, President, to set now. So if anything happens and somebody wants to move on or do whatever, you could just move the mantle or whatever. But I think also it gave, I hate to say this, it gave Bucky something to do because after Winter Soldier, Bucky ain't really have shit to do. All he did in the war was run. Like, he just ran the whole time. It gave Bucky something to do. And I felt like that was something that I thought was going to be more fleshed out in the series that they did not get to. But I think it sets up to give Bucky more to do going forward now. Yeah. And then the Sharon Carter thing, I thought was a really good twist that they went to. And I'm excited about U.S. Agent. Like, I think I don't like how they play. So I had issues with U.S. Agent in the finale didn't solve it, but I kind of cushioned it. I hate it. I felt like U.S. Agent's turn was very Daenerys from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was a great setup. I also feel like for him, it was kind of a good sort of redemption. I mean, even though he didn't really redeem, I mean, he kind of did redeem himself. Like, I feel like, he could have. I felt like he was handled very, very well because, you kind of got the idea from the beginning that, he had a lot of pressure on his shoulders. They kind of built him up to, like, know that eventually he was going to snap and it was just going to be something sudden. His best friend, his boy, freaking Lamar, Battlestar, murdered right in front of him.
They can't let us all win, can they? They can't let us all win.
They got to kill one black guy, all right?
Right. We're going to give you one on stature. We got to get rid of one of you.
Like, we got this whole story about y'all. Can we have one of y'all die? So, like, it made sense that, like, he would snap and, like, but he would lie about, like, oh, I killed the guy who, killed your son. But it was also, like, at that time when there was people and lives on the line, where he could just go and get his revenge or save lives, he ultimately did the right thing. And I thought that was really good. I thought that was really well handled. And, maybe down the line he's going to be more of a, level-headed kind of guy. I don't know. Maybe he's going to do some crazy things. But I kind of like his whole arc and the whole entire story that they gave for him.
I think the build-up and the flip was so quick. And I get it. They're attributing it to the super soldier. So, I guess for me, all right, so you set it up with Marvel, which was great writing. You talk about his accolades. You show that he's a humble. They gave him the deception of being humble because he was so afraid to take over this mantle and blah, blah, blah. So he goes out there, plays nice for the crowd. And then, he shows up for the first battle scene and he's like doing this thing. And then I felt like at that point, they were trying to give him this setup of being like, hey, like we need to work together. Let's be unified. And then I thought they were going to take him is they were going to say, hey, look, Steve Rogers dealt in a lot of black and white. And whenever it came to gray, that's where him and Tony always had friction at. But Steve always took what he thought was the ultimate right. I thought with this Captain America, with Walker, they were going to let him play in the gray. And where he wasn't going to be the bad guy or heel turn, but it wasn't going to be also a great good guy either. And I wanted to see that play out a little bit longer than the scene with the shield, because let's be real, was it jacked up? Absolutely, but you just watched your homeboy die. Like,
yeah,
if somebody
probably killed his ass too.
Right, exactly. And that's what I was like. So, and everybody's like, well, Steve and Captain America wouldn't do that. Did y'all not watch the first Avengers? Steve bust through a door shooting gats. Like, what are you talking about? When you know shooting,
well, he was shooting Nazis, so that's okay.
Everybody says, but in Walker's eyes, these guys are
Nazis.
They're equivalent of
terrorists.
Insurgents. Like, so he doesn't see the mercy that we would see as a citizen that just is misunderstood, like Sam did, and kind of like even how Bucky felt like they got to see these people as just almost kids that just were misguided. Walker's a military guy. He just sees these guys as just terrorist insurgents. I don't think they gave him enough play up to that factor. So that the reason why he was so no nonsense and so gruff with them is because he saw them no different than like we or some people in America see Al Qaeda or see other groups that are fascist, And so when he does the killing, I wish they would have pushed that scene a little further out, and rather than where they had it at, because he was a dick that whole episode. So by the time he kills that guy, we're like, oh, he's a fucking mother. Fuck him now. Like, where if he could have been a dick and then they could have had him still, like you said, save some people and then still had that scene, we would have been conflicted. So then when that scene, when he's in front of the council that are trying to get rid of him, And he's like, nah, you guys made me this way, blah, 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 which we all can relate to as knowing soldiers or people like that. Like they make them kind of like this. I think we would have felt more sympathy for that moment. When I watched that moment, I didn't feel much sympathy. I was like, man, that Joker's an asshole. I think it's fucked up. He's right, but he's still an asshole. Like, been like, he's right, and I feel him. But it was like, yeah, you're right. You're an asshole, bro. Turn in the field and get your ass like,
get on out of here.
I don't know. How did you feel? Like I said, I know you kind of felt you weren't bothered by it, but I just felt it was just too quick and didn't give us enough of. So when he did it was like, okay, cool, whatever.
We also only had 6 episodes for this whole entire series for this show, you know. So it was a condensed sort of timeline anyway. So maybe if they had, you know, gave us 10 episodes, we probably would have been bored by the 6th episode. But we would have probably get a longer arc. But for me, like it was a good arc. It was a good, solid, like for the time that the screen time he was given. You know, he was this driven man who was trying to do the right thing. You know, who was under a ton of stress. You know, the difference between him and Steve Rogers, like Steve Rogers kind of like fed off of that stress of trying to make himself better. Mm-hmm. You know, he was always going to, you know, even though the mantle of being Captain America was a lot to him, it was always something that he could strive to be better. He never thought he was like at the top. He was always, you know, trying to be better. Whereas this guy kind of crumbled under that stress. Even though he was a capable dude, he was already crumbling from under the stress. You can see that kind of in the first like sort of scene with him in there where he's like trying to give himself a pep talk just to go out there to go on, Good Morning America or whatever. You could always already see that he was stressed out, you know?
Right.
So it was they kind of already built in, to me anyway, they already built in the building blocks that like he was going to fall and it was going to be soon. And as the show goes on, he gets, you know, like he starts off a clean shaven dude, and he, at each episode he gets grizzler and grizzler.
That was a good visual effect, like a good visual. Yes, I agree.
So like you can tell, like, as he's supposed to be a military man. They all supposed to shave and be on, top on point every single day, because discipline is something that is very important to people in the military. But he's out there doing the job, so he doesn't have time to shave in the morning or whatever. So you can see him, physically crumbling, and then the boys do died.
Right. And that's why you're the Duke of all nerds, because you know what, you just broke that down so much. That's making me question my feelings about
Look, you can have your opinions on whatever it is, and you are justified to them. It means they're wrong, but
hey, look, everybody got one, right? And also, now I'm not going to take credit for this. I was listening to another podcast, the Mad Titan podcast or whatever, and one of the guests on there, he made a great comparison with the Sam training scene where he's training and learning with the shield, blah blah. And the brother on there, if God forgive me, I can't think of his name, but his comparison was like he loved that montage because it showed that even as a black man, you got to work twice as hard to do something that someone else could do, or the privilege of getting a super serum serum allowed you to do, and blah blah blah. And I never even pieced that together when I was watching it. Like they're basically showing Sam having to train himself harder and be better to be the normalized version of the carrier of this shield. And I thought that was and when he said that, I was like, damn, that one even just it blew by me. And I'm like, that is a real dope moment. Because even when I watched it, I was like, why the fuck they showing this Joker? I was like, Anthony Mackie must have put this in. He must have wanted to show these ladies he out here, like,
Hey, it wasn't him. It was his stuntman doing the flips and stuff. It wasn't him.
Hey, don't
he was in his
believe it was.
He was in his trailer drinking coffee, like, you're doing a good job out there. Y'all having fun. But talking about another scene that kind of made me teary-eyed was, that montage scene where he's training with a shield, and then you see him holding the shield up with his nephew, and his nephew, kind of admiring him and the shield. I felt, that got me. That was another thing that got me, man. Having, these symbols, they are important. They mean things. And, having this young black male look up to the American flag with this American shield and being like proud of it is also something that's, very meaningful as a black American. It made I was wiping stuff from my eyes, man, because I got a little boy, and I would like for him to feel like that he's as much a part of this country as everybody else.
Absolutely.
And, to have, pride in the places that he's from, and to be able to achieve that American dream. And so, like, that got me too.
No, I'm right there with you. Like that montage was just, it was good. And it definitely, besides me missing the point, and again, I was like, man, Mackie just put this in here because he trying to flex for them ladies. Like, ain't no reason for this to be here. But, even to that point, I think an interesting thought, just you talked about when the nephews and the shield and all that, it almost felt like, I hate to say, like, because way you just said, and I'm thinking about the scene, it was almost quasi an Obama moment. Like, the moment when Obama got inaugurated and we all watch it on TV, and it kind of was like that sense of pride to be like, it almost felt like, okay, now we're finally getting a part of this country a little bit now. Yeah. We're finally, that when you said that, it made me think of that moment when I remember watching inauguration, feeling that, like, pretty sure, I don't know if that was on purpose, but I could see that scene being that moment too, like you said, like having that pride in the flag and showing that, like, it is for us too, and we can represent it just as well. So now that was I like the way you played that, because I didn't even put that together either. So
Disney knows what they're doing, and also they keep calling him Uncle Sam the whole entire time. Hey, Uncle Sam, Uncle Sam, come on, it was right there.
It's either Uncle Sam or Black Falcon. So also, shout out to Bucky having a little bit of jungle fever too. I see you, Bucky. Yeah, look at him. I saw the end trying to get in good with the kids. I saw you, Bucky. You better slow down, bro. You better slow down.
Your stepdad. I've been frozen in and out for 100 years.
That's true. Any closing thoughts on Captain America and the Winter Soldier?
I just hope that Marvel/Disney keeps making these kinds of shows, keeps making these kinds of content, because even though it might offend some people because they're going to get offended anyway, like, these stories are important. Having this sort of representation is important, and for me, it makes me want to give them more money anyway. So keep it up. I'll keep cashing out if you keep telling stories that are good and that that mean something. So let the creators create and let them do their thing and let them do stuff like this, and I'll go broke.
Look, I would say this: it puts a lot of pressure on Loki, because I feel like WandaVision was probably a good triple. They hit a good triple. Yeah. I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier was a inside the park home run. Like they hit every base. It meant something. It puts a lot of pressure on Loki to come through. Like Loki can't be a dud now.
I bet Loki just gonna be like just a nice fun show, like a nice little palate cleanser. Both of these shows, like Falcon and Winter Soldier and Wanda, are kind of like serious, dealing with some sort of serious issues. Like WandaVision dealt with sort of like personal trauma and emotional grief and all that other good stuff. And the Falcon and the Soldier deal with a lot of broader issues than that. Right. I feel like Loki will probably be the palate cleanser. It's like, okay, let's just have some nice dumb fun and watch Tom Hiddleston just choose scenery for 6 episodes.
Well, there's a little pressure on there too, just for the simple fact that we saw Loki's redemption story through the MCU. This Loki isn't that Loki, because some people not that Loki. So now you got to kind of do this redemption story again, possibly, unless you want to keep him a villain. So now you got to flip this redemption story, or if you just keep him a straight all-out villain or anti-hero, you got to play it. So I feel like I'm interested to see how the writing is for this. And then again, Disney's hit it out of the park with the writing, but I'm interested to see how that writing goes, because they're going to have to. You can't follow the same model for redemption, so you got to do something different now. And I want to see what that difference is going to be.
Well, I think this is also good because a lot of Loki's original redemption had to do with his love for Thor. Like, even though he was always kind of like jealous of him, it was still his brother at the end of the day. And he was like, "This is still my family, even though I'm plotting to murder them sometimes." I still kind of,
I may just turn into a snake and bite you, but I mean, it's all love.
I mean, we got families. We all be probably plotting to murder him a little bit, but we still love him, right?
Right.
So that was a part of his. So now, I think this would probably be he doesn't have that sort of, I guess, crutch in a way to have his humanity through Thor. He has to kind of learn it all on his own. So that would probably be a good way to if I were in the writing room, I don't know why they would let me do that, but that would be like how I would.
In that, we know you out here writing a book that's going to change the world. So Disney needs to put a writer's room.
I would just hope it changed my bank account. That's all I want.
Hey,
I ain't trying to. That's the only step I'm trying to make.
Shit, now you
I'm
know what's
looking
going
forward
to
to
keep doing this show. He's gonna put pressure on you to finish this book now, because now Joker's gonna be hitting us up, being like, "When that book coming out, homie?" Like,
well, I promised my mom last year that I get published this year before my birthday, which is in November. So I got a deadline now.
Hey, well, yeah, you're gonna have to buy. Oh, that's all good, man. I mean, like I said, I always respect that, man. I always say, again, once you do get it going, man, you know, I'll be the first one to buy. Let's go ahead.
I'll give you a free copy if ever
then you got to autograph it. Then if you're gonna give me a free one, you got to autograph that thing. I'm going to put that into the seal with the Isaiah Bradley story. So we're going to the next one, man. Let's go on and hit on. Let's jump right into it. Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat came out today, or we're recording on Friday. This will be dropped on Sunday, so you guys have some time to watch it. Spoilers are coming. Major spoilers are coming to a degree.
People die in Mortal Kombat. Spoiler over.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. And they find creative ways to do so. All right, man. I'm gonna go first because I'm gonna go throw cold water on all this shit. I did not like Mortal Kombat, this new one, man. I was not feeling it, and I know y'all gonna come at me and go, "But bro, you just said you like Kong versus Godzilla." I know I said that. I'm gonna tell you this, like, I hate to say this. I wish Mortal Kombat just would have been the old one, just with better graphics and better kills. Because the old one is kind of like what I envision Mortal Kombat to be. Like going into a tournament and you fight. I mean, let's be real. The old one just ripped off like the Bruce Lee movie. I can't think of it. Yeah. Yes, it just ripped that off. So I wanted to get the heroes together, get to the tournament, fight in this tournament, and then we just see it play out. Instead, in this movie, we got a whole bunch of a character they never been in the games, which is fine. I'm fine with that. I don't have any issue with that. You give me this whole talk about him. You do this whole thing with Scorpion. This motherfucker don't show up to the very end.
The very end.
Yeah.
Last 5 minutes.
Yeah, and like Liu Kang, which is pretty much for most of the story, been the main character for most of even the video games. I know in 11, I think they switched it, and him and Raiden, some weird shit's going on in the video games now.
Like a bad guy or something.
Yeah, like he's like a reincarnated core. Regardless of that, like Liu Kang pretty much was useless. Even that fancy fireball shit was useless. Like the whole movie wasn't even about the tournament. It was like these jokers like were attacking the heroes before they could do it. Then they made up this weird ass shit about how they have powers. Like you got to unlock your whatever it was. I'm like, what? Can't you? You can just save the time on that and just be like, they got powers. Like
that magic. Hey,
yeah, like we wouldn't.
Where's your magic? Just figure it out.
Yeah, they got to do that. Shoots lightning. Like we don't care. Like we don't need to know how. So the only thing I liked about the movie was two things. One, the fight scenes were really good. They did really show out. They did do their thing. I guess there's three things I like about it. So the fight scenes really good. Two, Kano. Kano's great. I could have watched the whole movie.
Kano was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, Kano could have been the movie for me, and I'd have been like, this is perfectly fine. And I think the last thing I did like about it a lot was, and this is a minor thing, it's just a minor pet peeve, but they made them Japanese and Chinese. Sub-Zero Chinese and Scorpion Japanese. I know that's minor. People are like, oh, what the fuck is? It's important to me because at least show me that you at least attempted to be like, hey, we want to make sure this is consistent. And also, the actor that plays Scorpion, he's an Asian actor. He's been known to say that he only plays Japanese roles. If the roles is not written for a Japanese man, he won't play them because he feels it's unfair that we just do it's an Asian character. It don't matter what part of Asian. So it don't matter if you're Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Vietnamese. He's like, no. Like we have so many actors who are the specific race that you need. I'm only going to play Japanese. So knowing that about him and seeing him play the role, like it was just more respect that like they cast him that way, but also made it stated that Scorpion was Japanese. So I know that's minor and bullshit, but yeah, I like that. The things I hate about it, again, I don't know what the fuck the story was even about, bro. Like, and I know it doesn't matter because it's Mortal Kombat, but on the same token, like, give me just a straight line story. Just give me something easy. Like, it was a whole bunch of, he's a descendant and they got to unlock this power, but now they're going to just attack now. But we know they're violating the rules of Mortal Kombat, but ain't nobody snitching. We just going to let it go down. And then, like, Cyrax had, like, a Brooklyn accent. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
that wasn't Cyrax. That was Cabal.
Oh, my God. It's even worse than So
That's what I thought. I thought it was Cyrax at first too, and I was like, "Oh no, that's not Cyrax because he's a robot. That's not a robot.
it
That's a
was
dude."
purple. Yeah, so you're right. Once again, this just shows you how fucked up in the game I was. In respect to the final fight scene, though, with Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and I don't even know the dude's name because that was pretty dope. But other than
What was it? It's Cole
Young.
Young or something like that, or Young Cole. I don't remember. It was.
Y'all gonna listen more to Jason on this one because he's gonna have to save it because I'm out on it. Like if I don't ever got to see that movie again, I'm good.
I mean, I agree with your nitpicks. I agree, like that. A lot of it was like, firstly, like I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun. There was a lot. I realized kind of, probably almost when it's almost over that, like, oh, this is just a setup for more movies, which is terrible. I think my headphones are about to die. I might have to switch to the regular microphone, but which is terrible because you should always make a movie as it's going to be your last movie. You shouldn't have to have loose ends. They didn't even kill Sang Sung at the end of it. He just like, oh, I'm gonna be back with some more dudes. It's gonna be great. They create. I mean, and it's fine that they create another character. Which, you know what? It's not fine they create another character. Mortal Kombat has like 500 people in it. You could have picked one of them to be like the story lead. Like you picked a brand new guy out of like it's been around for 30 years. It has like 9,000 people. You could have picked one guy, like anybody. It could have been.
You could have gave me meat. Meat could have been the main character. I'd been fine.
Yeah. To be like the audience point of view character, but you made someone up with some pretty lame powers to begin with.
Yeah,
but it was still fine. I mean, it's like as I was saying earlier, I went to this movie, expecting it not to be good. Like I expected it to be cool fight scenes and maybe something that resembles a story, and that's what I got. Cool fight scenes and something that resembles a story. So I wasn't disappointed. I was like, okay, cool. Maybe the next one's going to be a lot better. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
So we're going to come up with a rating system for these movies, and we'll figure that out for the next show. But like, I can't. And I would say the moment when I was like, all right, I'm good, I'm done. Everybody has a movie when you fucking hate a movie where you just keep trying to trudge through it. The moment for me was, how the fuck did Jax get like arms? Like it was like his arms was gone, and then like the next scene he had baby arms, and then the next
magic power was arms. His magic powers was arms.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, it was like his magic power was arms. That's what it was.
Like, oh, we gotta do this acupuncture to wake him up. This motherfucker wake up, and then he got baby arms all of a sudden.
That whole like you gotta awaken your chakra or whatever they said was completely dumb because it was completely arbitrary. Like, oh, Kano got scratched eyes, and now he's got laser eyes. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, it's magic, but it's a laser. And now Jack's got better arms than the ones we built him because he's magic technological arms. Like, and now Sonya Blade, even though she just showed up today, she can shoot lasers out of her arm. It's just like none of it made any sense.
Or the fact like the mark off Kano transferred to her once she beat him, and that's how she got her powers. And it was like she didn't train for them bitches at all. Like all this movie, training to get these powers unlocked. This shit just like, oh, I got it now. Boom! All right, we good.
That's why I got him so quickly. I was watching them the whole entire time. See, like that was also my pet peeve. Is like, why not just make her one of the people from to begin with? Like, I don't know. Like, it wasn't really much of an arc for her to kill Kano and get her magic powers. It was just like, if she was going to fight, it's Mortal Kombat. She's going to fight people. Just have her be already a Mortal Kombat person, and have her train with everybody else, and like maybe her art, like in the sort of the original movie, the Kano was someone that killed her partner or whatever, so she had a vendetta against him or whatever it was, and that's a pretty good storyline. Do it again.
Yeah, easy. It's easy money. Like, or like the same beef I have with the DC cinematic universe is what I'm kind of feel like I'm having with Mortal Kombat. We've seen good iterations of this thing. Like DC universe, their animated stuff is remarkable.
Phenomenal.
You could just make a live action version of the animated scripts that you already got. They're like 80 minutes, 90 minutes long anyway.
You don't have to do any work.
Was it The Rise of Scorpion? You could have made Scorpion the first person in it and remade the animated movie for live action. We still would have paid for it. We still would have enjoyed it. Like it just boggles my mind that you can have such good properties in one form of movies and then such on the other side of it. And it's like, do you not at one point are you gonna be like, hey, writers that did that, hey, can you come over here and put something down so we can just make a movie out of this? But for some reason they just be like, nah, keep them separate. Like I just didn't like this movie, man. And I tried so hard because the fight scenes are really good. And I'm a huge fight scene and kung fu guy. I love kung fu movies, but like I said, again, when Jax grew some arms, I was like, I'm done, bro.
His magic power was his arms. Like that was it.
So if Sub-Zero didn't destroy his arms, well, he would have got a metal coating similar to the old boy's body ability.
Maybe he would have grown two more like Goro does. He would have 4 arms or something. I don't know. He would have 2 little.
The Goro special effects were really good on this one. I'll give it that credit too. They look pretty good.
But he died like
a bitch.
Easily. Yeah. Like it's Goro. He's the last guy. He should be like there should have been like at least 4 people dead. See, here's the problem. They should have had more characters. Less. Personal stuff. Like, hey, Johnny Cage. This Mortal Kombat thing is going on. These are your buddies. We gotta save the world. Cool. All right, let's go do it.
Right.
And then half the people get murdered during this thing. It could have been a better like horror movie almost, like where you just have a whole bunch of people as just basically like, and it could be like, as I said, it's Mortal Kombat. They have hundreds of characters. You could have had a whole bunch of them and like just have them all just get killed in crazy ways and like and that's your movie. It's like
even as a writer, you get it. Like the Goro thing sucks in this movie. The effects were good, but the Goro thing sucks is because if you are new to this series, you have no reason except for Goro's size to realize that Goro's a badass. Like remember in the original, they had him dismantle a motherfucker in front of everybody. They're like, oh, this dude is the truth. So when Johnny Cage fights him, it's like Johnny Cage could get killed right here in the instance. This one, it was just like motherfucker just showed up ready to fight, and they're like, oh, I guess we're just gonna let everybody rely on the fact that everybody's seen Mortal Kombat, that no Goro's a big deal out here, and he goes out like a straight sucker. And it's like, well, guess he wasn't a big deal. No wonder they sent him over to get his ass whooped.
And it's also like a lot of like the later fight scenes. They had 2 one at a trailer and one at a house. And it's like it's Mortal Kombat, like where they had something that looked like the pit, I guess it was called back in the first one with the spikes, but no one got hit with spikes. There was no acid. There's no acid floor or anything like that. Like it's Mortal Kombat. Like this is a part of it. Like it was cool that Kung Lao did the buzzsaw pull the girl through it. That was cool, but like y'all could do better.
I thought about my last crazy pet peeve for this too. This is also bullshit, but it is real. How your main character gonna be a dude that getting his ass mollywopped at the beginning of the movie, and they're gonna be like,
we need him on our team,
right? And then you gonna disregard Sonya because she ain't got a tattoo, but this motherfucker that was getting his ass whooped. Like, he's like, hey, no, you the one.
His only corner person is his daughter. She's like 12. I think you need like a team to do this. I don't know. I watched a lot of UFC, and like last time the dude came out with his girlfriend, he got beat up, and then they were clowning on him,
Yeah, I'm just like, bro, like don't tell me the dude that's gonna be the champion and this is a dude that's getting mollywopped by regular human beings. Like, stop it.
Yeah, like stop regular dudes.
Right.
Dude who just beat him.
He was winning, and it was like, nope. Go ahead and tap it on out, brother. At least could have had him pass out. This show like he never quits and has this never die attitude. Closing thoughts on Mortal Kombat. I hated it. So if this is in living color, I'd have gave it like 2 snaps and whatever and hated it because it just wasn't for me, man.
Well, I would say I did not hate it. It was okay. It was, it was a passable kung fu film. That's it. I hope the next one will be better. That's what I can say.
Hope the next one actually is the tournament. Then I'll probably be on board.
Mortal Kombat.
Right. All right. Well, let's go jump to, I guess, the second to last thing we're going to talk about too. Invincible. Robert Kirkland's property. People maybe more know him from The Walking Dead, which I feel like it was a more popular series than Invincible. Because I'll admit, I heard rumors about Invincible, but I never like knew much about it. And then when I heard they were making the animated version of it, and then I remember the first episode hooked me. So I think they're on episode 7 right now, if I'm
Episode
correct.
7, I believe. Yeah. That's
Okay.
what it is.
So what do you think about the series so far? What's your thoughts on it? And let's just dive into it.
Well, okay, so when Walking Dead came out, I was really into Robert Kirkman's work. So I picked up Invincible I want to say right when it not when it kind of started, but like when it was really getting into the crux of it. Mm-hmm. So I was really waiting and ready for this show to come out, and I was really excited about it. And it's, to me, it's a really good show. But the thing that I haven't is it's just a kind of a nitpicky sort of thing as a comic book fan. And I know, a comic book and TV show are two different things, two different mediums. You got to do things differently for one that you can't do for the other, and all the other good stuff. But I feel like in the Invincible TV show, they kind of blew their load too quickly. In the comic books, it's a slow build up to the gore. Of course, someone's going to text me right now. To the goriness of it, to the twist that's going to happen, and I'm not going to spoil. Hopefully, I mean it's writing on the wall, but there's a huge event that's probably going to happen next episode, and it's a build up to it, and you kind of and it kind of lures you into it through its kind of like mundaneness. At first you kind of think that this is like, oh, it's a kind of a fun little silly comic book about this new teenage, superhero, and they have these tongue-in-cheek names about, superheroes and stuff, and it's kind of funny, and and they're like a little bit edgy, but it's not over the top. Mm-hmm. And then like 7 or 8 issues in, you see like all the world superheroes die, and you're like, oh crap, that's crazy. And then like another 5 issues, you're like, oh, that's even nuts, and then it just jumps from there to these, huge, long scenes of just intense violence, and it builds it up to it. And I feel like in this show they kind of like already spoiled that this is going to be like, not your typical superhero show, when they could have we already have that. We already have that in The Boys. Mm-hmm. Like not your typical superhero show. And I feel like this would have been better if they just hold off on maybe at the end of the first episode, they killed off the Guardians of the Globe, and you realize that, Omni-Man did it. I feel like it would have been better served if they had hold off on that violence and hold off on that, revealed maybe 3 or 4 episodes into the series before, showing that off and showing. But otherwise, the show was actually still pretty good to me. It's still really, really, really good. It's just that that one little thing, this could have been like that Game of Thrones moment where people are like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming, And I feel like they kind of spoiled that already.
I've heard that from a couple people who've read the whole series, that literally what you said, they kind of blew their wad early. They didn't spoil it for me, so I still don't know the big event, because they said the same thing. It's still one more big event, but I do feel like the heel turn for Omni-Man was so quick that it was like you didn't even get us to really like him as a face to enough to hurt him to be like, oh, this is crazy. But it was like, oh, well, no, this dude's shady as hell. And they even animated him to be shady, to give the looks he gives. And sometimes I heard those just crazy spurts of anger at his wife. So it's like him being the bad guy, or maybe end up being the real big bad. It's going to be like, oh, well, we should have saw that coming, because he's acting like a dick this whole time. It definitely is. No, good. I enjoy the series. I think this series is great. It gives me Spider-Man done right vibes. Now, I'm not saying Spider-Man's done wrong in MCU, but I'm just saying it feels like watching the 90s cartoon Spider-Man, or some of the spectacular Spider, where it's like this teenage kid trying to juggle all the shit, but still be a hero, still try to get it right, and X, Y, and Z. So I thought that's always good, because Spider-Man works on any kind of medium. But also, like you said, I feel like Deadpool has opened up the door for people just to go all out in bloods, guts, or whatever. Now, let me even go back further. Technically, Blade opened up the door for that, because it was the first R-rated superhero movie, and it made a bunch of money, and Blade 2 did as well. But because I want to give shout out to them because Blade gets lost in the shuffle about R-rated superhero movies that did it right, and he did it when the era of superhero movies wasn't popular.
There
So
was
let me
no
give that
superhero
credit to them.
movies then.
Right. So let me give credit to Blade because people forget Blade did come out before X-Men and Spider-Man 1, and it did make a bunch of money. So going to that, but Deadpool especially now has opened up the door that these comic books can be raunchy, violent, bloody, which just makes sense. I mean, if I punch a dude in the nose and I got super strength, his probably there's no shit shatter. Like it makes sense. So with that being said, I think Invincible, just the story, and it's very rare that you get a cartoon that has made the main character so likable. Like Mark's a likable guy. He's a rootable guy. And that is something that's very hard to do in a very short amount of time, especially because, again, the show does progress pretty quickly. I think that's kind of why I enjoy it. It moves very quickly, but he's likable. You know his intent. You know he's good-hearted. You know he just wants to do the best. He's carrying the weight of being the son of the greatest superhero of all time, but he also kind of just wants to be a kid. Like, he always wanted these powers so badly. Now he's got these powers, and now he's like, oh, shit, it comes with, great power, great responsibility. Like, it comes with a lot having these powers. Even this last episode where he's in the car with his best friend, and he's like, well, if you would have came and when I told you to go save such and such, he would still be like a lot. Like, and he's like, I know. Like, and it's like, I felt that weight to be like, damn, he's right. Like, this fucking sucks. Like, he couldn't enjoy him trying to go get his old lady back because he tried to do that and somebody got hurt, and and now he's being, I can say blamed, but almost quasi like, if you would have done the responsible thing, he would probably be alive right now. Instead, you did the selfish thing. And I'm like, damn, it sucks because all of us as teenagers would have been like, no, I'm trying to get my bride back.
Yeah,
like,
we would have all done this.
Right. He a grown man. He in college. Fuck him. Like,
yeah, he would have fine.
Right. You better keep the rape whistle and go on, keep it moving. So, but no, I really like it, man. I think it's a dope show. That's why when everybody keeps telling me this moment is supposed to be huge, I'm like, I can't wait. I'm trying to figure out what I could think it would be, because even what was it, episode 5 where they fight up in the tower, and that lion dude is wearing Invincible's ass out, and he glimpses his father and whatever, just his father being more of a dick, kind of like, oh, the dad, I told you not to do this, so I'm gonna let you get the punishment, but he's getting worn out. My homeboy was like in the books, like that was a crazy scene because we didn't know that he could be hurt that badly.
Yeah,
I guess at that point.
Like, that's also to one of my other nitpicks is they kind of have scaled down him and his father's powers. Like in the comic books, when he killed the Guardians of the Globe, they didn't touch him. They didn't hurt him at all.
Oh wow!
Like, he just ran right through them and killed them all without them even being able to do anything about it. And even like in like a lot of the scenes in the show, like Mark gets his ass kicked a lot, and even in the comic books he gets his ass kicked a lot, but like, it's not as often as like, we're only 7 episodes in the show and he's already been put in the hospital. Like in the comic book, it's a while before he's put in the hospital. He goes to the hospital a lot because he's not as invincible as he says. I mean, he's pretty invincible, but but they already put him in the hospital, like, and because that whole like what's the guy's name? Machine Head sort of story arc happens after that first major event. So like they moved that up, that timeline up, which kind of like for me is going to take away from that first major event, because that's that first major event is when you realize like, oh shit, this is the shit can get real in this comic book, and they already as I said, they've broken on Hyman on that sucker already like twice at this point, so like it. So like for me, when this thing that happens, probably gonna happen next episode happens, it's probably like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Whereas in the comic books, it's like, oh, that's nuts, So like, maybe for people who haven't read the comic books, they're gonna be like, oh, that's crazy. But I feel like the stuff they've already put in the show so far is going to kind of lessen away from like the impact of that because it's like that's the first major thing that happens,
right? And I have a guess what I think will happen, and I'll ask you off like to see if it's true, because I have a guess what I think is going to happen, because this last episode, Omni-Man said something to me that felt real weird when because he kept trying to get to Mark, and he's like, when he was practicing, he goes like, it's something I need to tell you, Like, and then when he even talked to his wife, and it was like, you know, you and Mark will be protected. Don't worry about it. So, like, I gotta guess what I think is going to happen, but that, you know, that's because I watch a bunch of TV and media. So let's be real, we all get inspiration from different shit, and it weasels their way into it. So I'll be interested off the mic to find out if my guess is right. If it's not, then we just keep moving forward, and then I'll keep trying to come up with new theories. Any final thoughts on Invincible? I think we both are enjoying it, but any thoughts on it?
For anybody who's like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to watch a show, give it a watch. It's really good. It's a good. Hopefully, if they incorporate more of the stuff in the comics, it's going to be a good show that like talks about like what's it mean to be a superhero, what's it mean to like, you know, these kind of tropes like, oh, should you kill bad guys? Should you not kill bad guys?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does it mean to like actually think about these sort of real consequences when you do fight bad guys, or what does it even mean to actually use your powers? You know, what would you actually use your powers for if you did have superpowers? Doesn't mean you have to be, you know, a superhero. Is that the best way to use your powers? You know,
right?
So like, there's a lot of interesting questions that are going to come down the road. And I feel like the comic books, at least in the comic books, they handle it really, really interestingly. So it should be, if you know everything, you know, gels the way it did in the books, it should be a really interesting thing to watch. All so right. Keep it up.
I'm here for it. I mean, I'm definitely here for it. So before we get to our final segment, let's give the recommendation for the people. If we had to stack an order for see it first, second, third, whatever, for everything we talked about, what would you order it? So for me, I would say my number one for everybody to go check out would be Falcon and Winter Soldier, Invincible, Kong Godzilla, and then if you just sitting around and ain't shit going on, you can enjoy Mortal Kombat.
I suppose my list would be the exact same, except flip the two. I would say Mortal Kombat before Kong versus Godzilla, but that's just, you know, my humble opinion. You know, some people might not like either of them. Maybe they think both those things are garbage. Right.
And we said and argue for no reason at all. And then the last part of the show, I kind of deal with all my kind of shows. Recommendation for something for someone to watch, and if you had to briefly explain to them why to watch it. So for me, my thing for people to watch, and then I'm late to this party, so everybody forgive me who are gonna clown me up, but my thing to watch is the anime Black Clover. I just started on that. Well, when I say started, I'm like 120 episodes deep now. I think it's 170 episodes right now that are out. Good show. It's about this universe where everybody pretty much is infused with magic, and one of the kids does not have magic. And it's this role, or this, like, you know, like all anime, it's this top ranking thing called the Wizard King. And the main character, Asta, his goal is to become the Wizard King. So you follow him all through his trials and tribulations because, again, he doesn't have magic. So how does he overcome to become the highest ranking magical official with no magic? So Black Clover is my suggestion. And why I say to watch it, besides that definition, is that if you're an anime person, it's the classic anime tropes, a shogun, excitable, good-hearted character with all the stuff around, changes people's hearts and wins them over one by one, making his way to the ultimate goal. So if you enjoy the Narutos and all that, like, this is right in that ilk. So that is my suggestion for people to try to check out. It is Black Clover. What do you got for him, Jason?
Well, you know me, I like to read. I like my books. I like my fantasy books. My thing for people to check out is the Wheel of Time series. It is a series that is very similar to like your Lord of the Rings and even to Game of Thrones, but in my opinion, it's better than both of them. I don't know.
I gotta read these.
It's got a good, very well realized world. It's got a ton of great characters that are also realistic and very well realized. It's long. It's 14. The series is 14 books long, but if you like to read, I don't know why that's a problem. Well, more books to read. Oh no, that's so bad.
No, not more books.
And like, for me, it's like it has probably one of the best endings in a fantasy series. So I always like. I've yet to this day have met anybody who's actually read all 14 books besides myself. If anybody wants to read them, that'd be great. So we can talk about it. It'd be awesome. So that's my recommendation. Wheel of Time. I'm gonna
check it out. We can, once I read all 14, or maybe every time I read a book, we'll have a discussion about it. Just the individual podcast about the book and go from there. No, so
Well, with that Wheel of Time, they're making an Amazon TV series, so I think it should be out later this year. So
I gotta hurry up.
About that too.
I gotta hurry up because I remember actually how I ended up reading. I know when I say read the Game of Thrones series, like it isn't finished yet, but after season 1 of Game of Thrones, like I was like, they did what? I gotta read these books. Like, I read them all, and a friend of mine happened just to have all of them, and I just borrowed from him and read them all. So, Wheel of Time, I'm going to check that out. And if anybody has suggestions of things that we should read, watch, or you want us to talk about, by all means, let us know. Comment on it. If it's something. Naturally, we're not professionals. It's the reason why this thing's called Headcanon Circus, and this is the N-Word for Nerds podcast. Like, we're just going off the dome and just talking about stuff we would just talk about in a regular setting. Like, so we're just gonna have some fun. If you got topics, or like I said, every show we're probably gonna open up with a list of rankings of something geek wise. If you got one that you want us to list, throw it at us, and we'll get to it for you. But again, don't forget to share this, like, subscribe, follow us. We are pretty much everywhere. YouTube under Headcanon Circus, Facebook under Headcanon Circus. If you want to listen just to audio under Headcanon Circus on the iTunes, Spotify, it's all there for you. So just follow us where you like to see us and hear us and enjoy this. And again, you got stuff you want us to chop it up about, let us know. So, man, this is episode 1 in the book, man. This may become a movement, man, of the N-Word for Nerds podcast, man. Jason, I appreciate you. Any place they can find you or hear you, Jason, or anywhere?
I guess I'm on Twitter at Rise Novembers. I'm not going to spell it. You can figure it out.
I will figure out how to do it and post it somewhere for everybody.
But that's it. I have my hot takes on Twitter as well. So,
no, absolutely. Oh, like I said, I love your hot takes, bro. Like that's why that's how we started. That's how the show actually started. Jason would post stuff. And I'll be like, man, that's just what I was thinking. And I was like, man, we got to do a show. We got to do something together because the stuff you saying ain't nobody else in the cipher I'm hearing talk about or say. So so that's why this all thing came along. So hopefully you guys appreciate it and like it. If you want to join and be a guest on our show, let me know. This is an open forum to have people come on and just be prepared to talk that talk. So just don't come on here and talk about something I ain't like it. We're like, why you ain't like it? Because it was stupid. Like, yeah, ain't got time for that.
You gotta come with receipts.
100%. Like I said, I was over it when Jax grew arms. So, but that is us signing off, man. We appreciate it, guys, and we will see you all next Sunday. Peace.